Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV, the Joy and the Pain podcast as well. Well. We haven't quite been to Bradford yet, but on Tuesday, we're right back into the action at the Poundland Bescot Stadium up against MK Dons. And when we're talking MK Dons, we're talking Jonathan Harries. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I've had a whirlwind few challenges in the last week. Almost as crazy as Walsall, really. About MK, what can we expect from MK? They started like a steam train with a win at Wrexham, first match of the season, and then things have sort of derailed a little bit, haven't they?
They certainly have. We weren't expecting to go to Wrexham and get anything, truth be told. We were expecting maybe the media darlings to get their season off to a flying start, but they didn't count for the dynamic duo of Mo Isa and Jonathan Lecco. We actually won our first two games. We just beat Tranmere. We probably didn't deserve that win. And to be fair, apart from the Wrexham game, we haven't really played that well. We've played well in halves, we've played well in spells, but we haven't really had a full sort of 90 minutes where you can say, yeah, this is MK Dons, they're back in League Two. And part of that is probably down to them still getting used to the manager and his way and still bedding in quite a few new players. So could be a good time for you to play us at the minute.
The big talking point, of course, is Graham Alexander. He came to discuss with Walsall for the manager's position, and then ultimately Walsall went with Matt Stadler, totally inexperienced first managerial role, and the experienced Graham Alexander then went on to you guys. There is a bit of a rumour popping round, part of the reason that might have happened, which we'll come on to in a second. But you can imagine what it was like for us when you won your first two games, top of the league, with Graham Alexander. It was like, looks like we've missed out on a perler here.
Yeah, and to be honest, it is the sort of manager we need for League Two. We did it the last time we were in League Two with Paul Tisdale. The football wasn't great on the eye, to be honest, but he got us promoted, which was the end game anyway. And it's sort of similar this season. Without being too critical about our fan base, they really want us to play our expansive style of football, the MK way, as it's known in Milton Keynes. And this season, I just want results over the style of play, to be honest, because we saw how the four relegated sides struggled all last season to get out of League Two, and I don't really want to hang about in League Two, to be honest. And for some of our fan base, after last Saturday against the draw against Sutton, to want Graham Alexander out after 9 games, I think is just ridiculous, because I think someone that I think can take the club forward.
Yeah, I think, well, he's got a good pedigree, and hence why we thought he'd be a good acquisition for Walsall. But I think, in fairness, other than the Wrexham game, you've had quite a relatively easy start, haven't you? Some of the teams you've played have been teams that have struggled. Is that fair or not?
I mean, we've had Notts County at home, which was a really good game. That was the weekend of the really hot weather. Don't know if you probably do remember it, because it doesn't happen that often in the UK. That was a real good contested game. We've had Stockport, who've suddenly just hit form.
Stockport. We caught them at a good time, Stockport.
Yeah, and Yeah, he'd probably say we haven't had I wouldn't say an easy, because I don't think League Two you can class as easy, because I'd
No.
say there's about 12 to 14 teams that can say they can get promoted this season. Probably even yourselves. I know you sort of harbour in between 10th and maybe a push for the playoffs when I've seen you on other shows. So it is going
Yeah,
to
I
be
think
leagues that I think is going to be down to the wire.
I think after the last two games, my sort of expectations have been clipped a little bit, really. Swindon, we know they were absolutely flying when we were playing them. We've started games very poorly, and the last three games we've conceded a goal in the first quarter of an hour. It was 2 minutes against Swindon, 6 minutes against Wimbledon, and I think it was about 12 minutes against Salford. Against Salford, we managed to turn it round by going with a back four, packing the midfield, and we bossed the second half and won that. And that was our second win. Sort of 2 wins on the bounce is always nice. And so we went to Swindon thinking, is this the new dawn? Are we on our way? And then 2 minutes in, 1 down. And then second half, when we were starting to get at them, got a player sent off, which was a ridiculous sending off, another one. And then it was against 10 men, and they were just passing the ball around, like, try and get it off us sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, which led us to Wimbledon on Saturday. Wimbledon on Saturday, in my match preview, I build that as this is the game where we find out whether Walsall are going to be top half or bottom half.
Okay.
But Wimbledon had been on a decent run, but again conceded goal on 6 minutes. Went down to 10 men on the 38th minute. Magically got ourselves level from 10 men, and but then conceded again in 2 minutes, and then a late goal was 3-1. It was obviously all over at that point. So it's been tricky, and MK say, I think, is it drawn the last three? Is it? I seem to, or am I getting mixed up with my Bradford thing?
Drew with Notts County, lost to Stockport, drew with Sutton as our last three.
Yeah, and the one before that was that Forest Green 1-1.
No, we've not played Forest Green yet. I'm just trying to rack my brain. That might have been lost 2-1 to Crewe before then.
That's oh no, that was Wimbledon. Sorry, there's so many games flying through. How can we keep track of them all? It was a surprise when Graham Alexander didn't get the job, but what's sort of creeping out of the woodwork is the Walsall owners, the Travella Group. They're making the signings, not the manager. So they're picking the players to sign, not the manager, which is I could understand why Graham Alexander would turn down the job if that was going to be the case. So that's a bit of a funny one. And Danny Johnson, who is our marquee signing, he's not playing him. He has been played. He has appeared in 8 games, but I mean, he's not been sort of the main man, which we would expect him to be.
No real need to play him at the minute, is there, with Freddie Draper in the form that he's in?
Well, Freddie Draper's doing okay, but it's who plays alongside Freddie Draper. We've had Jamil Matt has reappeared, and he started one game with him. He did get DJ in for one, and arguably the best football Walsall have played was away to Salford.
Yeah.
And second half, he brought Ross Tierney on, who's a midfielder, and they played 4-5-1 with just one up front. And so I'm screaming out for a 4 at the back, and pack the midfield or use the. We've got some really good attacking players, but we're not getting them on the pitch. So other than Isa, for you, who's the guy to watch out for?
Probably at the minute, Jack Payne. We signed him on loan from Charlton on deadline.
Oh, Jack
It was either
Payne. Yeah,
deadline day.
he's a
Yeah.
player and a half, he is, isn't he?
He reminds me a lot of Johnny Williams at Gillingham, sort of the way he gets the ball and his first thought is to turn and run at the defence. He played a part in the goal, the equaliser against Sutton. Seems to have formed a good partnership with Alex Gilby already, who's obviously won League Two. Obviously got promoted to League Two. Sorry, with Stevenage. So I like the look of Jack Payne, Ellis Harrison, who we got on deadline day after the Luke Armstrong saga, where we heard that he was at Milton Keynes on deadline day morning, and then Wrexham came and did what Wrexham did and messed it up for themselves. So we bid for Ellis Harrison, who luckily on that day was in Oxford with Port Vale, so not that far a distance to go from Oxford to Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
So we managed to get that over the line right at the end with Anthony Stewart returning as well from Aberdeen on loan. So he's still bedding in. I think he will come good. Seems that Alexander wants to go with the Harrison and Isa up top.
Yeah.
That's what he did for Sutton. We've obviously got Jonathan Lecco in reserve, but depends if he can be bothered to turn up on the day. He's one of these really frustrating players that can turn it on in sixpence, but if it's not going for him, he goes off and sulks and blames everyone else except himself.
Sounds like a bit of an Andy Cook.
Yeah, the talent's there. I have no doubt he is. If he puts his mind to it, he could be one of the best in League Two. But he's got to be a team player for Graham Alexander, and Alexander said as much in his pre and post match press conferences. He can't take any passengers. Everyone's got to defend. Everyone's got to attack. Everyone's got to contribute. You can't have one lazy person. And it showed, particularly at Colchester away, where it wasn't working for him. And halfway through the first half, he turned around to Graham Alexander, put his arms out like, "What more do you want me to do?" And Alexander absolutely ripped into him. And you're like, you don't turn around to your manager saying, "What more can I do?" when you're not performing.
Yeah. And then what's his name again? That guy.
Sorry?
What's that guy's name again?
Jonathan Lecco.
Lecco.
He used to play for Birmingham.
Oh, yeah. I think that the one that we definitely got to be careful of is Jack Payne. So Jack Payne was very good for Swindon. He's tore us apart a couple of times playing for Swindon. One particular excellent goal he scored, I seem to recall. He's a player that Walsall could have done with, really. We have Isaac Hutchinson is our playmaker. But as good as he is, he doesn't play the ball into the strikers anywhere near as much as I'd like him to. And but defensively is where we're going to be struggling, because we're planning to play three at the back with Priestley Farquharson that we picked up from Newport.
Great name.
I call him the Priest. It's much easier. And then Chris Hussey that we picked up from Stockport, and then Donovan Daniels in the middle. But Chris Hussey has decided to retire 10 weeks after signing a 12-month contract.
Yeah.
So he's disappeared, and Priestley, the Priest, has got injured on Saturday. And the replacement left-sided centre-back for Hussey is Taylor Allen. He's very inexperienced, and he got himself sent off on Saturday, so he's straight red off for 3 games. So Bradford and MK, I don't know. The manager, Matt Sadler, seems intent on playing 3 at the back, but on the basis that we haven't got 3 centre halves, I think he might have to change it, and it might work out better for us if we played 4-5-1 or 4-4-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But what formation do you think you'll be playing?
He seems to be going with a 3-5-2. It started Dean Lewington and Anthony Stewart against Sutton, but I could understand that being Sutton are quite a physical side and
Yeah,
quite really tall side, deceptively tall side.
yeah,
So he could change the back three. Jack Tucker could come back in. Tommy Smith could come back in. He started Joe Tomlinson at left wing back instead of Daniel Harvey, who's been basically our left wing back for the past 2 seasons.
yeah.
Cameron Norman on the right hand side.
Oh,
Obviously,
Cameron Norman, he's the one.
yeah.
You sent me some questions, didn't you, for your, what is it that you do on there?
Oh, the view from the other side for the MK Dons Facebook group.
That's it, yeah. You asked me some questions on there, and it was who am I watching out for? Craig McGillivray is the keeper who used to be with us, of course. How's he been for you?
He's improving. I think there's a couple of the goals earlier on that I think he could have prevented, and he didn't sort of fill me with confidence because when he pushed it out, he pushed shots out, he pushed it into the danger rather than away from danger.
Yeah.
But seems like he's been working on that and he's improving. He's quite a vocal goalkeeper. He doesn't mind telling the defenders if they've done something wrong, and I think it will be a good goalkeeper, and it's certainly a good goalkeeper to have because he was a goalkeeper that effectively got us relegated last season. When he had a blind for Burton?
He had a what?
He had an absolute blinder for Burton on the last game of the season. All we had to do was score one goal and we'd have stayed up. But I think we had 23 shots and 16 on target, and just nothing was getting past him.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Walsall's keeper recently, some stats came out, say he was the worst keeper in League Two. I think it's a little bit unfair. My biggest criticism of our keeper, which is Owen Evans, he doesn't release the ball quick enough. When he comes out and collects a ball, he'll hold on to it until everybody's on the halfway line, and it's such a frustration. It's like, get rid of the ball, get us on a break, counter attacks. But Walsall don't have a counter attack, and every time he goes to the keeper, that's it. He's going to hold on to that until all your centre halves have had a chat with your keeper. The other player that we're very interested in is Cameron Norman. I was absolutely gutted when he left Walsall. We went for Hayden White instead. Hayden White had got a connection with the director of football at the time, Jamie Fullerton, and I think it was a boys' decision rather than a football decision. Cameron Norman, we really liked him. Is he still doing his long throws? Is he?
He's still got his long throws. I personally think he's one of the best deliverers of a cross I think I've ever seen for a right wing back. Always seems to be on the money. He's got a couple of assists already. Doesn't mind a shot from distance either. He's really sort of committed. The only thing is sometimes he can leave the right centre back exposed when he's up too far up the pitch. And a couple of our goals recently, I think Stockport's first against us, Louis Barry just got in between Norman and O'Hara and unleashed a really good shot, and just little things like that are not quite clicking for MK Dons, just like the connections between like the left wing back and the left centre back and the right wing back and right centre back. But it's a learning process. We've got several new players that are still bedding in, as I said at the start of the preview. So hopefully that'll click soon. But honestly, when we signed Cameron Norman, I thought that was brilliant because from what I'd heard from Newport fans, he could be playing high-end League One at the very least.
Well, going back a few years, he first came to Walsall when we were in League One, and he was awful. He was awful. Got exposed again and again and again, and he was awful. When we went down to League Two, he seemed like a different player, and he was excellent. Obviously makes mistakes like anybody in League Two does. We'd love to have him back, but obviously it's not going to happen. But now the thing is, being back at Walsall, he'll want to be impressing. So maybe getting too far forward, and we might be able to get in on that left-hand side, perhaps.
Possibly.
But our left wing back needs to. Our left wing back, Liam Gordon. He's very good when he gets forward, but I think it's a confidence thing. He doesn't go forward enough. He's a good, solid player. He's one of our best performers so far, but that's more defensively. He has made a couple of gaffes recently. I think the last 2 goals that we've conceded were down to him, to be honest. Against Swindon, he tried to play it back to the keeper when he should have been clearing the ball. And that was their second goal, which killed the game. But I think we're sort of struggling anyway. And then they put another one down to him in the last game against Wimbledon, of course. Before we go for predictions, how do you guys get on with Wimbledon? It's a bit of a... You're the old Wimbledon, aren't you? And the new Wimbledon are up against you. I mean, that's a bit of an interesting one when you come together.
It is, and to be honest, I don't get involved in the politics. There's obviously fans of MK Dons that have been there since the start and have come across from when they were down in London, and there's always that rivalry. I think we've got them coming up in November at home, so it's not too far away. But
yeah,
I don't get involved in politics. I've only been following MK Dons for 7 or 8 years, so
7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Let me try and work it out. It's 42 for me. 42 years of largely pain. That's what it's been. 42 years of pain with just the odd snippet of joy. It's total torture. So what do you reckon? You think you're going to turn us over?
I'm hopeful that we will. I think a lot will depend on how we start. We did like an early goal at the start of the season. We scored early against Wrexham.
Oh, we'll help you with that. We'll help you with that. We're good at conceding early goals.
That's good to hear. If you were to push me now, and then we're recording this before our weekend games.
Yeah. Who's he got the weekend?
We've got Harrogate at home.
Oh, Harrogate, that was it. Yeah, I remember now.
So if you were
that'd
to
be a nice
me,
boost then.
Yeah, it will be.
You would help. You would help.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. We've got a tough week on paper with Harrogate at home, and then we've got you away on the Tuesday, and then we go away to Gillingham the following Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's one that I'm looking at, thinking if we can get 7 points out of the week, I'd be more than happy with that. And as I say, if you were to push me for a prediction, I'd probably say 2-1 to us. Mo Ice is due a goal, and I'll probably say Jack Payne.
Jack Payne. I can imagine Jack Payne scoring against us again. I think he likes playing Walsall. I think for Walsall, obviously things were on a bit of a roll when we beat Colchester and then Salford. But then being derailed, losing the last 2. So we're really looking for a reaction away to Bradford. But Bradford is a tough place to go, and with Andy Cook, having played for Walsall previously, likes to score a goal or 2 against us, and he scored a hat-trick last week. So he will be rubbing his hands at the prospect of Walsall going to the Valley this weekend.
Are you going?
Pardon?
Are you going?
I'm not going to that one. I can't make that one. I've got a few things on that are stopping me for the next week or so. But I'll be at the MK game on Tuesday. And then we got Sutton away, the Valley of the Giants.
Yep. Nice little ground, actually. Obviously, we were there last weekend, and it's a real nice ground and real nice stewards, and you've got the choice of standing or seating. So, yeah. Definitely good one I'd recommend.
Good one to visit. I think it depends really on after losing 2. If we were to lose at Bradford, it'd be quite an awkward atmosphere at Walsall on Tuesday if we've lost 3 on the bounce. So there'll be plenty of fight to be had on Tuesday. I'd like to think that we'll come good and win a 2-0. With our defence pretty much pulled apart, it's going to be a difficult month, October, for us. We've got a fan chat on Sunday night, and the theme of that is going to include such as what we're going to do with our defence. Will we have a play 4 at the back and that sort of thing? So I'll go for 2-0. You'll go for 2-1. Good luck this weekend. Hope it all goes well for you. And fingers crossed for us to beat Bradford. That'd be a turn up, wouldn't it? Beat Bradford and stop Andy Cook scoring. I'd be happy with that. I'll be happy with that. So for the season, where do you think? Do you think you're going to make top 7, or are you thinking more top 10?
I said at the start of the season, anything less than top 3 is a failure, and that wasn't being arrogant. That wasn't being big-headed. That was looking at our squad, the manager we've got, and respecting the league, because there are some good sides in League 2. Notts County, as I said at the start, one of the best sides I think I've watched against us. Honestly, I honestly think anything less than top 3 would be failure, because if we get into the playoffs, well, we may as well be in League 2 next season, because I think we've got the worst record in the EFL for playoffs. If we've ever won a playoff semi-final.
It would be nice for Walsall to be in the playoffs. I think right now, I think when we spoke before the start of the season, I was hoping we'd sort of just about get into the top 7. I'm a bit deflated really after the last 2 games. I was sort of thinking we were sort of going to be up there top half, but I'm a bit sort of deflated. I need an away win at Bradford to cheer me up, I think, ready for a nice Tuesday night game. It's been brilliant. Thanks for coming on, Jonathan. And we wish you well for the season. We hope you finish above Wimbledon. But top 3, I think you're going to be pushing it for top 3, mate.
Well, I've got to stick by my guns, because I just think our squad will click. So yeah.
Top 3 is going to be tough, but because you got Stockport like a steam train now. They're racing all the way up, aren't they? Gillingham seem like they want to hold in there. Swindon started off really well. Notts County already up there. Wrexham, we're getting it together. And Mansfield, they'll be taking a playoff spot to lose in the playoffs again, no doubt.
Yeah, but we know about Mansfield. They're always the bridesmaids and never the brides. So, and it's quite early in the season.
Right then, I say thanks for coming on, Jonathan. That's been really good. Everybody, thanks for watching. The joy and the pain. We all know about the pain. Where is the joy? Where's the joy? We want to see some joy. Let's hope it arrives on a Saturday or Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Cheers.